Hello, my name is Jahbreil Campbell, and I'm an intern with Planet LA Records.
Hi, my name is Beverly Vasquez. I'm the manager here at Nimbus Coffee, but I also help develop the branding and the magical drinks that we make here.
Great, and Beverly, I'm sure I can speak for the whole team at Planet LA when we just like to say that your whole operation at Nimbus Coffee is just beautiful. I saw the website and all of the amazing magical media that you have on there, and I was truly blown away by all the effort and care that you really do obviously put into the brand. So just wanted to congratulate you on that amazing work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Avion and I worked really, really hard in building this magical world that people can participate, whether you're here in person or you see through our social media.
Yep, of course, and it's definitely apparent to everybody who happens to come across any of your media. So I guess if you'd like to give another quick introduction, into Nimbus Coffee and maybe how you all started and how you found your way to the position you are now.
Yeah, so Nimbus Coffee started with Aviana. She studied law and became a lawyer, but as she kept going through life and work, she really wanted to do something more and create a really safe space that was inclusive and different. And something that stuck with her during college was coffee shops. It was the comfort, and she's very into fantasy and reading. So we thought, let's collide these two worlds together. Something that hasn't been made or done really, or into a serious level. So it was her goal to make Nimbus Coffee, and that's how it came about. And another aspect onto this is like brown representation, both in the fantasy world, but also in coffee. Both worlds tend to be predominantly white, and we're trying to break that barrier by being more inclusive. I happened to cross Nimbus Coffee right out of college, and I loved their goal and their mission. I started just as a barista, but then as I worked more and more with Aviana, I discovered like we had similar goals and vision with my coffee skills and her taste and imagination. And my imagination, we keep pushing the grounds of what is the potentials of coffee combinations, whether that's flavors you're not really exposed to. We take from different cultures and different ingredients that aren't common in the coffee world. Also, and what the images and the stories we make in that coffee. So yeah, everything we make has a purpose, and we're always trying to tell a story and really pull people into a new world.
Amazing. I love that mission. It's just really refreshing and definitely, something I've never seen before. Definitely helps, somebody take their coffee experience when they, you go into a coffee shop and you kind of just want to break. You want to go sit down and enjoy a refreshing beverage, something to eat, maybe meet up with a colleague or friend. And it really takes that to the next level of you're transported outside of the world as you know it.
A little thing that I always tell, or we always tell each other, and I tell my employees, what the big secret is, we're trying to run a magical coffee shop in a non-magical world. And anyone who comes through those doors, they're instantly part of that magical world. They have magic within themselves. We're just here to help you get that out of you.
That's great. So jumping into my first question, which I believe you've touched on a bit, but I really want to know how deeply is the brand identity of the company connected to the personal identities of you and of Aviana, or if you see it as something completely aside from who you are.
It's completely, really deeply connected to Aviana. The voice, the kind of wording we use, even the imagery that we use, it's all purposely in our vision and always trying to push around representation on media, and also kind of combining that with wizarding, fun, magical experiences, because I don't really get to see in fantasy books brown characters or just people who are being very powerful on social media. So all the people that we try to use in our images are brown, inclusive. It's about more than just coffee, essentially. And I think when we first started, and especially when Aviana first started this, it was one way, but as more and more people interacted with our social media and experienced Nimbus Coffee, they really, really realized that we had no control in that, and that's fine. That's the beautiful thing of creating something, because that means the community is grabbing onto it and they are making it their own. And so we're seeing more different identities and representation of what's it mean to be magical, whether you're into fantasy or you're not. It's always about what we can help bring to other people, and everyone takes it on their own little twist of what they think is magic.
Amazing, and that does tie into another question I had, which is, what do you think about the ways that Black and brown women and femmes are portrayed in works of fiction, or not portrayed? Maybe how would you like to see that change?
I think most times what we see is either sub characters or supportive characters. I want to see a change where they're the forerunners, they're the main characters, they're the strong ones, they bring the story together. I think it's really important to be inclusive. In reality, it's fantasy, so there shouldn't be a black versus white kind of complex in the story. That's the magical thing of fantasy and literature, is we don't have to have these black and white definitions. So that's why our goal here is to make sure that doesn't happen. And I want that reflected in more fantasy fiction literatures, whether it's a webtoon or a serious piece. The more representation and varieties we include in our writing and the stories we tell, the more enriched we become. And you have endless possibilities for combinations of new worlds and experiences, which we can all learn from.
Totally. I totally agree with that. And I think there's, because it is fiction, there's definitely room for it to be a multifaceted, and nuanced representation that we start to see as we get more main characters of different backgrounds.
Honestly, yeah. And to touch on your question about social media, again, I personally have yet to experience a lot of brown characters. I do see now cosplayers are being more inclusive, but in the commentaries, you see when people cosplay so quote unquote white characters, they get judged. But again, that's the great thing about fantasy. People can take it and make it their own. And I want to see more positive commentaries and shares about people who are brown cosplaying or participating in the story versus, bad mouthing people trying to turn it into themselves. That's the whole point of making something, is that it's our natural want as society to take things and make it our own. And yeah, that's what I think, at least. And that's what I hope people take with our stuff. I hope whatever we create, people can grab on and make it their own.
Yeah, I totally see that. And, as somebody who doesn't even live in the LA area, I'm already receiving that information when I look at your brand. So I think you all are doing a great job with that.
Thank you.
So my next question is, I'm sure there are countless ideas as you all, put together different potions and come up with different ideas for the next beverage. How do you really decide which beverage you want to put out and promote next?
Oh God, that is always the struggle. Ideally, we have months of preparing. I have drinks and I'm making potions and combinations on the side, but it takes so much tasting and trial and error all the time. And it's Aviana and I putting together our taste buds. She has a really strong talent in fine-tuning and tasting the slightest things. I as well, with my knowledge of combining what can go well with this coffee, what are the flavors that will shine or disappear. So that combined strategy is when we come up with something really cool. But she'll see a new technique on YouTube and I'm like, yes, let's make this drink, but we're gonna add fire. What does tasting fire look like? Or what's a dark spell that would make you feel confident? It's also not just about taste, it's about the story we could build behind a drink. So we'll be like, I want a drink that looks red and encapsulates love. So what would that taste like? What would that look like? What would the experience be behind that? So it's always about the look, the taste, and also what is that interactive experience you get when you get the drink. So there's 3 parts that we always think about, and if it doesn't hit those 3 parts, we won't let the drink go out. So we're really picky about what we create and the products we use. Always high ingredients. We always want to also push people to experience new things. So if it doesn't hit those bullet points, we won't put it out to the market. But that's why it takes so long for us to make these things. And I think it's really well worth it. And I love seeing people's reaction when they get the drink. They're always in amaze, and especially when they drink it, it's like a whole new thing that they experience. So that's our goal always.
That's awesome. I can, when you put in that much time and effort into something, there's definitely bound to be an amazing and powerful response.
Yeah, we always hope so, at least. I know our drinks can be very intimidating too, because we use such rare ingredients, or it looks intimidating. Like our Notorious Black, it's a black latte and it has rosemary. So people are like, is it good? I'm like, well, the great thing here is if you don't like it, I will make the magical perfect potion for you, even if it wasn't this. But at least you got to try this.
Mm-hmm. Totally, that's amazing. My next question is, what advice do you have for young entrepreneurs who might see what you're doing and feel inspired to start their own business?
I would say, and Aviana would say this too, is you have to know your branding. What is your product? And you have to know that this is the thing you want to do. You are passionate about it. Because if you think you can do less work when you become an entrepreneur, you're going to do work 24/7. It's nonstop. You eat, sleep, and dream about your work and what you do. It takes over your whole life. So you want something that you really are passionate about. And think like what its purpose is. Like, what are you providing to the people? Or why do you feel like this needs to go out? Once you know those two things, you'll have a really strong line in what you need to get done. Branding, putting yourself out there. I'm always behind the camera, but as you're seeing today, I have to let that go. If you're an introvert, I'm sorry, it's just part of the process. You have to put yourself out there in the world, because then no one will know about what you've created. And your biggest advocate for your product is you.
Yeah, definitely needs to be that way if you're gonna make any sort of waves.
Yeah. I guess another advice would be don't be scared to reach out to people and think of outside the box and you collaborate, work with other people in a similar industry, get really knowledgeable about what you're doing, research, reach out, ask questions. And if you get pushed down, that's fine. There's so many resources out there in the world. It's just constantly doing what you need to do for whatever that thing is that you're trying to do.
Yeah, definitely awesome advice. I think some young entrepreneurs would definitely appreciate hearing that, myself included. I think that's amazing advice from you're obviously behind an amazing brand, company who really knows. You really know who you all are and what you represent, and that definitely comes across all the work that you do, the promotion that you create, in your product.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I could tell you honestly, and when you are starting something new, you get a lot of pushback. So it goes again back to your own love and passion for that item. I know Avion, before I was on board, she would go to coffee conventions to learn as much as she can about the different tools and aspects of coffee. And she would kind of just throw in some questions about people like, well, what do you think about a themed coffee shop? So the kind of funny thing about themed coffee shops in the coffee world is it's not taken as seriously. And it's a lot of people are surprised when they come to Nimbus Coffee that we're a third wave coffee shop, which means we have high quality product and the baristas are very skilled in what they do. They said you couldn't do both. And she's like, well, I think I can, and I'm going to totally do this. Lots of people said no to her, and she's like, no, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be something. And here we are today. People love it. Whether you're a coffee connoisseur or you're new to coffee or you're only experienced with Starbucks, we're happy to take anyone, any version of coffee people, even if you don't like coffee. We make things for everybody. It's a safe, inclusive space, and I think that's not experienced a lot in coffee shops.
Yeah. And I love that you all are giving, it's like you're giving people something that they didn't even know they needed or something that they didn't realize was possible. The fact that somebody can come in your store and say like, wow, they're doing something that, I thought you can only do one or the other. And, you all just said, no, I'm going to do it. I think I can do this and I'm going to make it so, and in that way you've been able to change, been able to change what's possible.
Well, every day it's changing.
That's great. Well, I appreciate your time today, talking to us at Planet LA Records for our Black History Month showcase and interview series.
No, thank you so much for picking Nimbus Coffee for this amazing opportunity. We really appreciate you guys as well.